excited to see each other outside of school. So it's like, wait a second, this is not where I usually see you. So they really, that's a fun thing to do as well. Sorry, I think you can probably hear Adam crying right now in the background. So, and then we'll do more play dates in the spring as well. We've also in the past, and this is sort of dependent a little bit on COVID and whatnot, but in the past we've been able to, so it might work out in the spring, we've been able to do like parent only meetups as well, like which has been nice too. So we'll sort of see how that goes. And then another thing that is nice, you just sort of, everybody gets the weekly newsletters, but it's kind of nice to have a class specific, like from another parent, just send out an email, maybe sort of each month, just to remind them of upcoming like classroom specific events and school-wide events. So again, it is sort of, they've heard it before, but it's just kind of nice sometimes when you see something from a fellow parent, like, oh yeah, I've got to read this. And then you can also feel free to CC me on any of those communications if you want to, and just BCC parents, because sometimes people accidentally reply all, and we all have really full inboxes. So just do that as well. And then of course, be an advocate for parents in your class. If there's anything that parents have questions about or are concerned about, you can share that with the teachers in, a constructive way. You can also share anything with me and or the administration, of course, at any time. So any questions around like the building community sort of piece? Okay. So then another part of the role is really just being a support to the teachers. And I've found in the years that I've been a class communicator, it sort of varies by teacher. Like some teachers will say, yes, if you could please facilitate this sign up for the potluck or for conferences or meetings, whatever. And other teachers are like, no, I just want to be in charge for myself because I like to sort of keep track or whatever. So just reach out to the teachers. If you haven't already sort of introduced yourselves to the teachers as class parent, just send a quick email saying like, hey, I'm going to be the class communicator for our class this year. If there's anything I can do to help you, please just let me know, at any time. And then you can sort of take it from there. I think the Halloween is sort of the next sort of big event. There might be some potluck. So you could ask like, oh, do you want me to help facilitate anything with the potluck? Another thing you could do is like, I know Sandra's already sent out a sign up sheet for the potluck, but when you send sort of an email introducing yourself and reminding parents of things, you could include that same link to the Google Doc, even if the teacher has sent it out, like, oh, remember, sign up for the potluck if you haven't done so already. And then, right, so this is just sort of along those same lines, be proactive with any sort of logistics or social events. If there's things for signing up, if your teacher wants, recycled materials, just sort of sending in a reminder and like making sure you bring them in yourself as well. And another way to sort of support the teachers is to encourage and facilitate parent involvement. Even with COVID, you can still read in the classroom. Even last year when Adam was in with Michelle and Christine in the infant room, I like zoomed in a few times and like read to even, like the youngest group. And I think the kids kind of got a real kick out of it and like, oh, my parents in the classroom. So that's something that you can definitely still do. Any sort of, cultural traditions and events, family, things that are important to you, really the teachers love to incorporate that. Kids feel so proud when their parents come in and share things or they bring something from home. And I think, you all know that the, BMS and the teachers just we're so fortunate to live in New York and have such a diverse and interesting, community. So really celebrating that is really, really important and really valued by everybody at BMS. And I think just kids, from a really young age, knowing about different traditions and different languages and different culture, it's just so enriching for everybody. So anything you can do to contribute to that yourself and encourage parents to do that as well. And then also, I think I sort of mentioned this before, serving as like a liaison between teachers, administration, and parents, any sort of like mediating that ever needs to happen or just like reminders from multiple people can be really helpful. Just helping to sort of reinforce if there's any, policies or school policies, classroom policies, and just sort of being a parent voice that's supporting all the hard work the teachers are doing as well. So that's sort of supporting teachers. We'll have 2 other meetings this year, in January, sort of midpoint in the year, and then in the spring in April or May. So we haven't set the dates for those yet, but just kind of be on the lookout. I don't know, maybe it's wishful thinking, but maybe April, May, we can do one in person. I don't know. We'll see. Any questions about sort of those kind of responsibilities or like facets of the role? Okay. Then just sort of other announcements. I think that just for right now, it's still better to err on the side of caution and safety. So we're still going to at least anything that's sort of school sponsored class play dates, or if you do a parent get together, just keep it outdoors. It's just, we know that that's all safer, even if you're with all vaccinated people. So we'll do that. Other things we've been thinking about is if you have any ideas, or if you've talked to other parents about any sort of speakers or workshops, or, things that parents might be interested in that we can maybe facilitate, additional ways that we might want to build community. Last year, we did a wine tasting and a chocolate tasting. We did a book club, and we read a couple books. I think it's sort of a balance between people are kind of like zoomed out and, over it, but also people still want to build community and see people who they might not always see. And especially people, I think, that are newer to BMS. So we did kind of want to open it up if people have initial ideas, but just also, even if you don't have an idea right off the top of your head, but just to sort of think about those things moving forward in the future. And we might send out like some polls or some school-wide polls if we do sort of generate some ideas here and gather, just get general parent interest. I don't know if anyone has any thoughts or ideas or things that they definitely think we should do or shouldn't do.
Yeah, I think some other schools that I've heard are doing like some outdoor things right now. Like the book club's always great to do. It's easy to do virtual too, because I just feel like it's nice to do that from the comfort of your home some nights too. And I think there was like a great turnout with that when we did it the first few times with Mindy. But with the holidays and everything, maybe that would be something we were talking about doing in the spring, or maybe, in the winter when everyone's like all cozied up in their house. I definitely think that's like, there's like a time where like there isn't a lot going on, I think in like January and February. And everyone's kind of just like, just hibernating. And so maybe, I don't know if there was any cool or just creative ideas. I know DJ, you suggested the chocolate tasting, which everyone loved. I thought the virtual wine tasting was really fun, and that company was great. I'd be willing to do another one of those if people enjoyed it and wanted. But I don't know if we want to do the same thing over again. If anyone wants to bring any virtual things or any maybe outdoor things, we were thinking about maybe like a patio space outside that we can do something. While the weather is still decent and before it gets freezing out. Please suggest anything. We're open.
A couple of years, I've seen it work well and not so well, but there have been WhatsApp groups for more impromptu play dates. I think sometimes, depending on the structure of your classroom, I feel like, it can, either people are always getting together, or maybe feels like just some people are getting together. And I think sometimes it's just like a function of that the people live next to each other or whatever. So I think the WhatsApp group sometimes can be helpful. It's like, hey, I'm at the playground if anybody wants to come.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I forgot to mention that. Thanks, DJ. Yeah, some classrooms in the past, that's been really helpful. So when you do send out your sort of email, like, hey, I'm the class communicator, I'm thinking about setting up a WhatsApp group. If you want to join, I know at least I had one year, some people didn't want to join, which is totally fine. But if, then people who did, it was nice. So I would always just sort of reiterate things in WhatsApp, like, oh, hey, don't forget tomorrow's this, whatever. Or right, it's nice. It's like, hey, we're heading to this park. If anybody's around, like, come join. which can just be a nice, maybe sort of more kind of like less formal, organic way to like build community too. So thanks, DJ. Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah, we have the Halloween parade coming, and we're really excited that, you know, that families are able to join this year and we're able to trick or treat, and it's looking a lot like our annual tradition. So we're, you know, even all the businesses that the small businesses in Tribeca that we have gone to see, like Boomerang Toys, who are alumni. You know, she sent her 2 children to the school years ago, and I mean, she was just like, "This is the best news I've gotten like this fall so far, like that you guys are coming around," because we've been doing it since 1981, and it's been such a staple. And then last year was just, you know, we just wanted to be safe, so I think we did 1 or 2 stops, but we didn't have families join. And I remember that day was so windy. It was just like, it was a crazy. And then all the outdoor like structures that everyone made that were like makeshift structures before people like really locked them down for the winter were just like flying everywhere that day. I just remember it was just like this crazy insane. And we had to change our entire route. So this year we're really excited for it to be back to normal and for parents to come and for us to enjoy that outdoor parade, because that's, you know, a big one. And kids are really excited about, I mean, the children work hard on their costumes and they're really excited to celebrate them and coming up to that. So I know obviously we didn't have parents come in and, you know, work on the costumes together, but even little ways of asking if, you know, we're going to have a little party with the children in the classroom after to follow the parade. So, you know, if you can organize pizza or, you know, just little points of contact for a parent or for teachers to have is really helpful for stuff like that coming up. Yeah, so let me know if you guys have any questions. I know that that's next week, so that's pretty soon, but a lot of teachers have basically planned a good amount for that already, and you know, their costumes are almost done. They're putting the finishing touches on them. So yeah, let us know if you have any questions about Halloween and anything there.
John, we have one thing I just realized I forgot to mention. I think
Yeah.
I think we had it on our agenda, but I must have missed it. Is that another sort of responsibility of, and we'll remind you of this too, but of the class communicators is also organizing the teachers' gifts, both at holiday time, like Christmas time before the winter break, and then at the end of the year. BMS likes us to give a class gift, not like individual gifts. So, and those are either gift cards or cash, whichever is easier, whichever you prefer. And so you just, you know, email the parents, and we'll talk about when it gets closer, sort of suggested donations for the teachers' gifts, and then they Venmo you the money, and then you get a little card and give it to the teachers, give the gift to the teachers as well. So sorry, I don't know how I missed that. Sorry, I just wanted to say that before I forgot.
Yeah, and Catherine, you shared that was in the core values too that you shared with all class communities.
Oh, okay,
so.
good. I was like,
Yeah.
I knew we had that written somewhere. Okay.
Yeah. That, and also another thing I wanted to bring up too, which was in the core values as well, was the amazing, connection that you also have with your classroom, and for us to be able to reach out to a parent for new on board, like any parents that are touring or interested in the school, especially as we begin our tours. You know, they've been quite full, but it's always so nice to have a parent perspective. So I know that's been a very important role as well, in terms of like having Anne, our director of admissions, you know, have a point person in that classroom that parents can ask questions to, or, you know, or just speak to, and in their experience from a hands-on parent there.
And then here we just have other sort of school announcements, closures. November, Veterans Day is on the 11th. There's no school. Then schools also close on Friday the 19th for parent-teacher conferences. If your teachers, if it's helpful for you to help with facilitate the sign up